Hello guys, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you're watching from or when you see this video. I want to show you something on GBP USD. This is gonna be my weekly projection on GBP USD. But before then, let me show you what the dollar index is doing. You use the dollar index to gauge the movement of other currency pairs. The dollar index is like the base. Whatever happens to the dollar will reflect on other pairs. So just as you have GBP USD, if the dollar is going bullish, automatically the GBP USD begins to go bearish. And if the dollar is going bearish, GBP USD will be going bullish. So let's check the dollar index and see what is happening there. This is the dollar index DXY. You can find it on TradingView or other brokers that display DXY. Now if you check, this is on the daily time frame. Let's see the weekly time frame. If you go to the weekly time frame, you realize that we just turned bullish. Okay, you see we had a sweep of these lows here and it closed back into the range, and then this other one came swept and then closed back into the range, and then just this week that closed, you see we closed above this candle, even though the news came up and then caused a sell-off on Friday, but the overall weekly candle was still bullish. That is to say that we are bullish at this very time. But if you go to the daily time frame, okay, on the daily time frame, considering the bullishness we had throughout the week, you see this was Friday, this was Thursday, Wednesday, Tuesday, Monday. From Monday it was bullish. Tuesday, the market reacted to this fair value gap here, but on Wednesday market continued bullish, disrespecting this whole move because the intention is bullish, and then continued like that until Friday. Now if you go to this, zoom out properly, you will see a fair value gap here that was created. Okay, so if you ask me what my expectation is, I expect the price to open and possibly trade back into this fair value gap zone and even trade back into this other block, because this rejection candle you are seeing here now is serving as an other block. It is from here that the price pushed up completely above it. So there is a possibility that the price will retrace back into this zone, tapping into this other block and then continuing bullish. That is to say that if DXY is going bullish, GBP USD will go bearish. So the same thing we are explaining here is the opposite that we expect to see on GBP USD. So let's go back to GBP USD and see. Now on GBP USD, you realize that on the weekly we had similar move on the opposite direction, right? This is it. So the DXY was bullish. The weekly here you see we were bearish. Now go to the daily time frame. On the daily time frame now, you see we had that same kind of candle, a kind of indecision candle, opened from here, traded low, it did not take this low, traded high, did not take this high, and it still closed inside the range, leaving a fair value gap up here, just like we saw on DXY below. So for me, if you ask, I expect that the price will open within the week, trade into the zone, and then sell off. This sell off here is on the opposite, is a bullish move on the DXY. That is what I expect. But there are news, the tariff effect and all that is likely going to affect the movement of currencies this week. So first of all, we have to wait and see what happens on Monday, and then Tuesday, then we'll now know exactly. But this is my projection. This is what I expect the price to do. I expect the price to trade into this zone and then sell off, and sell off, because there's also a monthly fair value gap around here, and I think it's going to attract price to this place. So let's see how it plays out. This same thing is expected on Euro USD because they are all correlated. Okay, so this is my expectation. Let me know what you think in the comment section. I'll see you again in another video. Okay.